Today's guest is William Bao Bean. William is a general partner at SOSV, multi-stage venture capital firm with 970 million US dollar AUM. He's also the managing director of Chinaccelerator in China and MOX in Taiwan. Hi, William. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. It's great to be here.
Yes. I look at business. You're wearing so many hats, right? SOSV, China Accelerator, MOX, and then I look at your SSOB's description of SSOB, and then which say that operate so many company on the umbrella, right? HAX Indio Bio, China Accelerator, MOX, TLAB, and then looks like SOSB is domiciled the US, right?
Yeah, so I know it's really, really complicated. So I'll
Yes.
try and simplify it. So SOSV is our VC fund. We have 990 million US under management. And SOSV invests in companies, and then we help our companies through our programs. And these are wholly owned programs by SOSV. We have HAX for hardware, and that's in Shenzhen, San Francisco, Xi'an, and Tokyo. Okay. We have IndieBio for biotech, and that's San Francisco and now New York. So IndieBio London moved to New York. And then I run cross-border internet and software, and that's China Accelerator for enterprise and China market entry and China out, and then MOX for consumer, which is focused on across Asia. So SOSV invests, then we help accelerate the companies that we work with through our programs. And then we continue to invest and support these companies forever throughout their lifetime. So 0 to 1 and then 1 to 100.
Yeah. Sounds very interesting, and it sounds like you are running the venture capital conglomerate version 2.0, right?
Yeah, well, I mean, venture capital has been around for maybe 70, 80 years now, but VCs invest in innovation.
Right.
But there's not a lot of innovation in the VC world. So we're trying to actually innovate how VC is done. And so we invest, but we do a lot more than that. We built these programs and platforms to help our entrepreneurs do more than just like the traditional mentorship. But for example, for biotech, we have two actual level 2 human wet tissue labs in our offices in New York and San Francisco. For hardware, we have our own manufacturing line, QA, test, molding in our offices. And for internet and software, on the enterprise side, for China Accelerator, we partner with 230 multinationals to help our companies sell to those multinationals. And for consumer, we're unique in the world in that the companies that we invest in, we give them free advertising for their apps and mobile services. We give them free user acquisition. So we try and innovate in VC, not just invest in innovation.
Yeah, that's my impression. It seems like you are trying to build and grow the global, very comprehensive global ecosystem related to the venture capital activity, right?
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah, for sure.
sounds great. And and as I mentioned, you are running so many organization and the company investment arms. So, what are the synergy you are trying to achieve among these all different platform around the venture capital activity?
So we're a lot different than other VCs in that we're not organized by geography.
Hmm.
All of our partners are investing globally, but we're more focused on industry vertical. So hardware, biotech, and I run internet and software along with my partner Oscar. And the key thing though is that we are investing in these verticals across sector. So for example, 30% of our investments are in health. And we do health and biotech. We invest in therapeutics companies and other types of health companies, biotech and synthetic biology. We invest in health hardware and medical devices. We're the most active investor in medical devices in the world. And then for software, we invest in health software with companies like Fable in India, which is quickly becoming the #1 health and telehealth platform in India. We also invest in like insurance companies. Like you're in Hong Kong, we have CareVoice and Bloom, which are insurtech companies in Hong Kong, along with Ignatica. And they're really focused on health, internet, and software. We also invest in digital therapeutics. And so digital therapeutics are really cool because you're using your smartphone and delivering treatment through an app, but it's got the same kind of benefits as an actual drug. Okay. For example, a company, Mobio, is a meditation app, but they've gone through clinical trials, and they're unique as a meditation app because they measure your heartbeat through the camera on the smartphone and customize the meditation program. But it's different than those consumer meditation companies like Headspace, because Mobio actually partners with drug companies. And so, for example, when you have cancer, you tend to be really worried about the future. So they're working with companies like Bayer to do clinical trials, pairing up oncology cancer drugs with an app for meditation, and proving out the efficacy of marrying digital therapeutics with pharmaceutical therapeutics.
Yeah.
So we're involved. No, that's just health, so it's multiple verticals, but across the industry. And we're also doing things in media, and we have a huge focus on investing in companies that reduce carbon.
Right. Very, very impressive. Very impressive. So I usually ask, fund manager or the CEO of a fund management company, what is the investment strategy? You already explained a little bit on high level, what kind of sector vertical you're
Yeah.
focused on. Uh, so also geographic market, you said it, you're covering the very extensive, the global international market. How about the stage of the company, target company, or the ticket size, and then anything special, something like a social impact, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah. So I mean, we're early stage investors,
Right.
and for cross-border internet and software, think about us as the late stage of the early stage. So we work with companies that already have product, already have customers and users, and generally already have a little bit of revenue. And what we specialize in doing is helping those companies sell to Asia, sell into China, sell across Southeast Asia, sell to Indonesia, sell to India. So we're the number 5 most active VC in Asia, and number 7 or 8. We keep on bouncing back and forth in Southeast Asia. I'm the number 4 most active VC in India. And so we're helping our companies grow up in their home market and then go cross border. So think about us as a sales rocket ship. We help on the enterprise side, connecting with the 230 multinationals in our ecosystem, and 27 of those Fortune 1000 companies invested in our fund. So we're kind of one-stop shop for corporate sales. And on the consumer side, again, we focus on that free customer acquisition, and this is pretty important. So we partnered with everybody who's getting their butts kicked by big internet. So Google, Facebook, Amazon, Apple, Ali, Tencent, they've all gotten super big, and they're starting to compete with everyone. They're competing
Yes.
with banks and financial services. They're competing with health, from the pharmaceuticals to the health companies. They're competing in media and games. They're hitting the newspapers. They're hitting telcos. They're hitting handset brands. They're hitting consumer
Yes.
brands. They're hitting real estate. They're hitting malls. So we're partnering with all these traditional industries. We're partnering with these telcos. We're partnering with even the shopping malls and helping them digitize, helping them build an internet business. And that's what MOX is. It's an ecosystem of startups on the one side and traditional industry on the other, partnering to deliver amazing, innovative digital solutions and services to consumers. And we're really helping those traditional large corporates fight back against big internet.
Got you. Got you. Uh,
Yeah. So yeah,
yes.
definitely early stage. So I mean, we write a
Right.
very small check. We're
Yes.
writing 150, 180K checks, and we need generally 5%, 6%, 7% of the company.
Right.
So what does it take for somebody to to trust us with that level of equity for
Yes.
that small check? It's because we're helping them with the sales, the customer acquisition, the user acquisition, and basically free advertising, and that really has allowed us to set us apart. and be successful as an early stage investor across Asia. I mean, consumer is really out of fashion, but we've had good luck there
Yes.
because we have that ecosystem approach.
Yeah. I can feel that. I mean, instead of giving the huge money, just a huge money, you can give them your credibility, reputation, and trust to the early stage
Yeah,
company.
and free advertising. I mean, if
Yeah,
you don't,
Fred.
42% of VC, I read somewhere a study, 42% of VC dollars goes to marketing and advertising. If we take that marketing and advertising cost down to basically zero, then the companies don't have to raise that much money, and that's great because it's less dilution, for the entrepreneur and less dilution for us as early stage investors.
Yeah, I agree with that idea. Yes, I mean, I've been in the corporate and investment banking side all the time, but
Yeah.
even though we give money, we give, I mean, huge check and give money to the company. I mean, at the end of the day, if they fail to generate the revenue, continue to generate the revenue, then fail, right? Even though we give money again and again, they fail. So they need to generate revenue. They do the marketing, advertising, or so they build the reputation in the market, right? Yeah.
Yep.
I agree. Yeah. So when you evaluate early stage startups,
Yeah.
what do you look for? This may be a very popular and a tough question, but many people give me a textbook answers like good people and then good timing, good business model. But do you have any unique approach evaluating early stage startup?
Well, I would put it this way,
Okay.
early stage is difficult because there's not a lot of information, right? You don't have a lot
Right.
of numbers. It's early
Uh,
stage, right? So it's a
Yeah.
little bit like dating, and this is why there's a lot of LPs who give VCs money. They don't like early stage that
Right.
much, even though early stage has shown over the long term to outperform late stage every day, every year.
Right.
But a lot of LPs don't like it because it's like, what are you making your decisions on?
Right.
So think about it a little bit like dating. Early
Right.
stage VCs, they date, and then bang, they get married,
Right.
and put in a bunch of money, take a board seat, and off you go. So what our approach is a little bit different. So what we do is we do the dating. Everybody's got putting their best foot forward.
Mhm.
And then we put down like $150,000 engagement present,
Mhm.
and then we move in together for 6 months, right?
Right.
And so when you live together, you're working, weekly board meetings. Our growth team, getting in and helping run the experiments and helping with tools and analytics and data collection. With our BD team and our corporate sales team, getting in and help, side by side with the companies, helping them sell. And we're working with them for 6 months. You really, you see what they're like. When you're dating somebody, it's one thing, but when you move in together, it's another thing. You get to really know what's going on. You get to see them on good days and bad days, right?
Right.
And then we double down. Then we invest, and we don't, invest in all the companies. We double down in the ones that have good traction and we see a good future for. And so that double down is the important investment. So it's a staged approach.
Yes.
But that 6 months that we spend working side by side is really, really important because that gives us a information edge versus any other investor in the market. 'Cause, when you live with somebody,
Yes. Yes. So it is not the cherry picking process. You need to prepare to
well,
live long journey, right? Together.
yeah, I mean, we started off as a 3 month accelerator, and we're not an accelerator anymore. We took us 3 months. Then it was a 6 month accelerator, and now we continue to support forever because we have the resources. And we found that continuing to support forever with regular meetings, regular catch ups, regular sales support, because we're doing cross border, and you're not going to go cross border into all the markets in Asia at the same time, right? You do it market by market by market, and you spread it out. What we found is that continuing to support forever makes sense. So technically, we're not an accelerator because our program never ends. But we've got like over 30 people on my team. We've got 14 EIRs on top and 400 plus mentors, almost 475 mentors, all helping the companies get to where they want to go. And so that's been it's an 11-year journey. I mean, we started the first accelerator program in Asia. Now we've evolved into a program that actually has two platforms: an enterprise platform and a consumer platform. So we keep on iterating. You got to eat your own dog food, right? So we're always iterating. We're always, making decisions based on experimentation and data, and we try and do that for ourselves as investors, not just with the companies that we're investing in.
Got you. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, people talk about the low-hanging fruit all the time, right? Ride-hailing, e-commerce, fintech, but we are going through the very different, strange time now. So,
Yeah.
post-pandemic, what vertical or business model do you think will experience explosive growth post-pandemic? Or the
So
new trend in China?
yeah,
Any new interesting trend in China?
I mean, I think everybody talks like, Chinese investors are like sheep.
Mm,
They all go in herds, all together in a
yes,
big group, and
that's
they
a
go to
human
where the
DNA. Human DNA.
yeah, they're all the sheep. Yeah, they all go in a group, and they
Yes,
go to where the green is, the grass is green, and
right.
then they eat the grass. They eat the grass down to the dirt, and
Mm,
when the sheep are done, all is left is brown dirt, and then
right.
they move on.
Yeah,
So basically, what we need to go, we try and be ahead of the herd of sheep, and
yeah.
far ahead. And actually, by the time the herd of sheep are there, we need to be somewhere else.
So you're
So
living.
right now, what right now is hot is like consumer products. Consumer products are super hot. There's tons of
Right.
money going into consumer products, and so we invested in some consumer products companies, and but our consumer company products companies are now like pre-IPO stage, right? So we went in 4 or 5 years ago. Now they're bigger, but for us now, we moved on, and not what we're focused on right now is actually helping Chinese startups go global. Okay. And we're helping global brands sell into China, global products sell into China. So we're very much focused on cross border. As foreigner investors in China, there's not that many of us left. There's not too many foreign
Yes.
investors in China. I
Right.
mean, we're an American fund. And so where are we going to have an unfair advantage versus local players? In very few areas. The interesting areas for us are those cross border opportunities. So bringing global brands, global properties, global IP, and helping them sell into China. And so that's a big area. The next big trend for us is China out. A lot of people think, oh, China, they don't need, it goes to the US. Now we're seeing some success cases there with TikTok and Shein. Okay, but we're helping Chinese companies go to Southeast Asia, South Asia, and other markets where there's less political issues to deal with or regulatory issues to deal with. And so that's a big trend there. And then outside of China, we're active across the region. We're really heavily focused. We've done 15 investments in the area of digitizing small retailers, digitizing mom and pops. So if you look at what we've seen in China over the last decade, we have Ele, Dazhong Dianping, Meituan, digitizing the restaurants, digitizing retailers, allowing small businesses to sell online like Alibaba. Well, that's just starting to happen in other markets like Pakistan or Indonesia, or even MENA P, like Middle East, Africa, and P is Pakistan, so we're active there. So the trends that we saw over the last decade in China are now playing out in India, and in Indonesia, in Pakistan, Bangladesh, and even in North Africa. And so we're doing what we call innovation arbitrage, bringing the best practices of China to the rest of the what we call mobile first, mobile only world. And digitizing those small businesses, those mom and pop shops, those restaurants, is a huge trend that we're seeing across the world, and we're heavily invested already in that area.
Yeah. Actually, I see that trend. I mean, yeah, I interviewed more than the 50 African founder, and then
Oh wow, geez.
yes, I did a 50, and then
Okay.
I covered the most large market in Africa already, and then
Yeah,
when I check it, like because connectivity, like infrastructure system can cover the large retailer and the large, I mean, business.
yeah,
But as you said, they call it corner shop, right? Mom and pop's store, and very difficult
yep,
to connect because they don't have infrastructure. I mean, most of the
yep,
infrastructure is suit the large businesses. So some
yeah,
people they using the like human being as a last mile agent, and then put the information data into their iPad, and then collect all the
right.
system, and then grow the business. So that's a very rising global phenomenon to help the mom and pop store and retailer globally. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. We've got one in India called Supply Note,
Mm.
and Supply Note's working with restaurants, and they're aggregating the supply of the restaurants, and these are mom and pop restaurants. But Indian food's got a ton of ingredients. Like the
Right.
average Indian restaurant is buying 400 different ingredients just for a little
Right.
tiny restaurant. And so we're combining their purchasing together. And after turning our platform on, these restaurants, actually we don't even take a cut. We connect the restaurants to their existing suppliers just over software, and then when they aggregate the purchasing, they're getting a 70% increase in their profit in the second month, right?
Mm.
Because they're going from a 10% margin to a 17% margin, and the sellers are happy because the sellers are just getting more and more and more volume, and they're getting new customers. So Supply Note's doing well there, and Dastagir, Pakistan just announced a $3.5 million seed round, which is actually pretty big for Pakistan, right?
Yes.
And they're just taking off like a rocket, helping again these corner store retailers, mom and pops, whatever you want to call them, connect with their suppliers and solving that logistics supply chain problem. Because these mom and pop shops, when they run out of stuff, before they have to get on a motorcycle, go to the market, pick up the stuff
Yes,
themselves, and bring it
exactly.
back.
That's
Yeah,
the exactly
that's
situation.
yeah, exactly.
Also, sometimes they don't know that whether they have inventory or not,
Yeah,
right?
yeah. It's either rotten or somebody stole it, or like,
Right.
yeah, they don't. Oftentimes, they don't even know what they have. So these are problems that were solved in China. I've been in China now since 2002, 2003. Covering internet, and these are problems that solved long ago in China. But the rest of the world is still catching up to China. China's very far ahead of most of the rest of the world.
Yes, very interesting. Very interesting. So, beside China or the large economy or I mean, some popular Southeast Asian emerging market, do you have interest or do you plan to cover the more frontier market like Latam, Africa, or the West Asia, something like that?
Yeah, so
Assuming
we
that they
just
have a good business, assuming that they have a good business
Yeah,
opportunity.
so this whole trend of digitizing mom and pops. I mean,
Mm.
we just last month did our first investment in Africa with one trolley out of Egypt. Now,
Hmm.
Egypt has a lot more money than
Yes,
sub-Saharan Africa, right? So it's more like you can say it's more like Middle East style.
right.
But one trolley, we're currently in the process of closing four investments in sub-Saharan Africa, and again, it's helping digitize mom and pops, helping employ kind of like normal people, and taking advantage of the fact that they have a smartphone, they have an internet connection now. We went pretty hard into Pakistan starting 2 years ago, and earlier this year we're the most active for Q1. We're tied for the most active VC in Pakistan. We did two deals, okay, so not that
Okay.
many, but yeah, we
Yeah.
have eight investments in Pakistan now, launching in Bangladesh, and then Latin America, South America, starting to do our first investments. We already have a couple. We dipped our toe in 2 or 3 years ago, but starting to get more involved there. Again, with the same MOX model. So the MOX model, you get free advertising from large corporates, but we also get free advertising from these mom and pop shops, because you digitize the mom and pop shop, then you give them a loyalty app that they push out to their consumers, right? And then these consumers can buy offline in the store, but they can also buy online through the app from the mom and pop shop, and they can also buy digital goods like mobile phone card top ups and simple stuff like that. And so we're trying to bring that across the world. So not just Southeast Asia, where we started this trend in India, but also now, as you said, South Asia, going into Middle East, and then Africa, Sub-Saharan Africa. and Latin America, South America will be someplace that we're just starting. Africa, we're a little bit, we're closing 4 deals right now. So yeah.
Okay. Very good. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
I'm going to check out all your interviews of those 50 entrepreneurs.
yes, yeah, not very entertaining, but at least I try to cover the real story of entrepreneur.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Awesome.
yeah, yeah. So I asked all the boring questions. So my last
Okay.
question is, who is nicest person you have ever met in your life and why, besides your family member? Yeah, I want to
Okay.
save you. Otherwise, everybody talk about wife, right?
Yeah. So I would say, there are many people who have helped me over the years and mentored me and partnered with me, and so there's just too many. But my colleague Sean, who started SOSV and is a managing general partner, he gave me a lot of trust because we invest in frontier, crazy, not just cutting edge, but bleeding edge, tech and areas. I started doing investment in crypto and blockchain in 2015, and back then everybody in the traditional VC, I mean, we're equity VC, thought it was a scam. To some extent, there is
Yeah.
some scam elements in there, but we've done very well there. And we went in, 6 years ago, we went in very early and very actively. We have over 40 companies in that space, so we got the trust. And so, in terms of, I would say, nice is one word, but also, trusting and
Yes.
having confidence,
Yes.
and then providing feedback and support and structure, but also providing that sort of the confidence that has allowed us to do what we've been able to achieve over the last 7 years here at SOSV. So I'd call it Sean O'Sullivan, and he's a pretty unique person in that he's and when he started off as an entrepreneur, he had his first exit. And he put half, he paid his taxes and he put half of his money, $7 million into a foundation for charity and $7 million into investing. And he built that $7 million until 2014 into about, $400 million, $350, $400 million. And imagine if he actually put the full 14 and instead of the 7. So the goal is like money is not the end. It's a
Yeah.
means, and it's
Yes.
not a means to have a great time. It's a means to make a meaningful impact in the world.
Right. Right.
And so we think that the best way for us to have a positive impact on the world is to invest in
Yes.
amazing entrepreneurs who will change the world. Because impact is not something that actually has an impact. Like impact
Right.
investing doesn't have an impact unless you invest in something that scales up and touches more than just a few people. And so, in terms of Sean being a nice guy, he's put his money where his mouth is, and actually had a fundamental impact on millions and soon tens of millions and hundreds of millions of people around the world. And so that makes him a really nice guy.
Yes, I agree. I think the most valuable things we can share with other people is trust and time, right?
Yeah. No,
Something we cannot buy with money, right?
exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I'm sitting here in quarantine and I have nothing but time.
The very unique situation. So you can do a lot of good things during those times.
Yeah. Got a lot of time in here.
Okay. Okay. Thank you so much. And then it is a great honor to have you on my show. And then thank you so much introducing very impressive. You're the venture capital kingdom. So I hope that you can, solve a lot of problem with your portfolio company and then make a huge impact in the world.
Yeah, I mean, I was a CEO. I was a crappy CEO. I was not ever cut out to be a CEO. So this is what we can do in terms of helping the founders that we work with. It's all
Yes.
them. It's not really us.
Yeah.
But just happy to be a supporting figure. And thank you so much for the opportunity to share. Really
Yeah.
appreciate it.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you very much for listening to this episode. Don't forget to subscribe to the podcast, share with a friend, and drop me a review. Goodbye.